Right, welcome back to another episode of S-StarTV Podcast about myself, Jawsy. And I've used the sun today, so we're outside. It's in London when the sun's out, you've got to make the most of it because we don't know how long it's going to be with us for. Sitting alongside me today is a special guest who I think I've interviewed 3 or 4 times. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting maybe a bit deeper or going from a different angle this time, because I think I've covered a lot of subjects with him. You might have missed them. If you have, go back into the archives. If I said to you Siesta, if I said to you Audiowhore, or if I said to you Melody Refix back in the day, you might know what I'm talking about. I've got Mr. DJ Majesty sitting opposite me. What's happening, brother?
All good, man. It's good to see you. It's been a minute now.
It's been a minute, mate. Do you like, because you know what, actually, just as that intro and what I said, DJ Majesty, do you hate that?
I don't dislike it. Obviously, I'm a DJ. Everyone already knows that. So most people just say Maj or Majesty, innit?
Yeah. Because on a lot of the flyers, it would say DJ Majesty still, and you're one of the only ones with that.
Now it's kind of parked that to the side now. So
okay.
Yeah, generally, it doesn't really bother me. I think more the old school lot will put DJ, and the new school will just say Maj.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So when you're on Siesta and Audiowhore, do you put
It's just Majesty.
Just Majesty, okay.
Obviously on RA, for the tag, you have to have the DJ bit there or it won't connect.
Okay.
But other than that.
Yeah, wicked, man. So how's life? How are you?
I'm good. I can't really complain. There's lots and lots going on, but I'm sure we'll get into that.
Yeah, wicked, man. So life good? Healthy?
Yeah, obviously I'm training a lot. That's kind of a lot of my day-to-day routine. Training, boxing.
Yeah, what's training then? Tell us. Let's elaborate.
Well, alright, so day to day it's gonna be gym in the morning, and then probably cardio at night, and then if I'm in England it'll be that. If I'm away, then it's gonna be more like 3 or 4 sessions a day. So wake up at around 8-9. We'll do 1 session till 11. We have a short break. Then I might go gym for an hour or 2, and then you're gonna do another session around 4 o'clock. And then in the night, I'll do a 5K run, and that would be every day for 6 days.
Wow. So what's the goal with that then?
It's just about general wellness, mental. It helps clear the fog that's in your mind. I'd just say to anyone, if you're feeling any type of way, you go gym or you do a workout, it's gonna clear. You're gonna feel a bit better. You're always gonna feel better than you did before you went in there.
Of course. But then, what was the thought process, or what makes you go from going gym once a day or 3 times a week to training 3-4 times a day?
Okay, when you're in England, it's just not, you can't do it. Mm-hmm. The structure of how things are, the cost of it, like to do that session what I do when I'm abroad, that's probably going to cost, I don't know, £150 a day here in England, where abroad that's going to cost you like £30.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more feasible, probably a bit more less than that. If you could probably put a massage in there as well for £7. Do you know what I mean? So it makes the whole wellness easier to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
So are we talking about when you go to Thailand here?
Yeah.
So how have you been a lot recently then?
I haven't been this year, but I'll probably go because I just come back from Brazil.
Okay.
So I'll probably go. I'm thinking October, November. I'll probably do 5 or 6 weeks then. So
are you heavy on the travelling nowadays then?
I think it helps open your mind, just seeing how people live. It definitely helps with gratitude, because the way some people are living, you just got to be really, really grateful for the smallest things.
So what do you think? What do you think triggered you to then start travelling to see the world in that eye books?
When my mum passed, other little personal things that I was going through, and I just started, I went to a retreat, I think that was 2023. I went to a retreat in January, and I just
a well-being retreat?
Yeah. And then after that, I really got into the boxing, and the guy who I was training with, he was like, look, I went to this thing in Thailand, I went there for XYZ, but he's an ex-fighter.
Okay.
So he was like, look, go here, do this. And I thought, yeah, that sounds cool. And obviously I'd never been anywhere on my own, nothing like that. I'd never been to Thailand. And then, just really gravitated to it. And then obviously once you come back, it's trying to, how can you put what you've done there and keep it up here. And doing the 3-4 times a day, it's just not feasible in England.
Of course.
And just time restraints and stuff that you've got to do, work, this, that, the other, you just can't do it. So 1 or 2 times a day is doable. Once in the morning and kind of late at night.
Nice. So you've got a book, or you've got a book coming?
I've been writing a book.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just about my life in a fictional way. So it's all true stories, just names and situations that are changed.
Okay.
When
you say situations, though, what do you mean? Like,
let's say, for instance, this situation between me and you, now this conversation, I might put that onto one of the characters in the book, but obviously it's something that did happen.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you get what I mean?
Nice.
So only some people will know when reading the book, they might think, well, I remember that situation, but it wouldn't even be their character because another story might be attached to that character, so you won't know.
Yeah. So how transparent are you being in the book?
When you read it, you'll know to yourself, okay, yeah, like this definitely, you could tell, allegedly this happened.
So, I mean, what makes someone like yourself, from your background, and what makes you think I'm going to write a book?
It's more about, in a non-vain way, about becoming immortal. The only way you can really live forever, because you can't live forever, is by creating things that live on past you. So like Steve Jobs with Apple, things like that. And it's more for the kids when they grow up, if they want to connect with their dad, they've got little things that they can look into, they can connect with me when I'm gone. Like even things like this, they can sit back, watch it and think, you know what, I was feeling a bit, down or whatever, dad's not here, la la la, and they can just connect.
Yeah, you can feel connected to you. Yeah, that is nice. Yeah, so I'm just like one. So what's so that's your motivation for the book then, is it?
That's my motivation for most things, in regards to just leaving a legacy behind and saying, you know what, I was here at this point, and that's it. Because in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, 100 years, 200 years, other than stuff that you've created, where you lived, everything that you own, that's going to be gone. Do you know what I mean? So all that's going to be left behind is the things that you've actually created that are documented and they're still there. So
how far are you into the book now? What stage are you at?
So I've been writing the book since 2015. So I've been writing it a while. And I'm at chapter 14, so there's 3 more chapters, but as you get to the end, as you're drawing closer to the end, it gets harder because obviously it has to end in a sense where everything comes together and makes sense. So when I'm writing, I always have to remember what's been said, how it's flowed, and make sure it's got that consistency and just goes in a linear, logical way.
So yeah, so what in an ideal world, what does closure look like for the book to you?
Well, at the stage in the book where I'm at now, I'd say I'm only 20, so there's still so much. There's still so much. I haven't made none of those tunes what you was talking about.
Yeah.
Hasn't even got to that stage. It's literally just about when I used to rap and I was in a group and got in studio and making a demo at the first time. I'm kind of there and kind of touches on the situations I had with my daughter's mum. Obviously there was no daughter at that point, but how it led to just little important parts of my life that we're at now.
So you've got 3 chapters left and you're only 20 years old. Yeah. So does that mean you're ending the book a lot, not too far into your life then?
There's a saying that everyone can write 1 book, but not everyone can write 2. So I don't know. I'll try, and it's taken me 10 years to do the first one. So who knows if I'll do the second. But that's the aim, to do the second.
I was going to say, because obviously now, where you're at now in life, I can't judge you or know you, but you seem like you might be at the most peace you've ever been in with your lifestyle.
That's a hard one, because you still have the everyday, things that you think about. Obviously dealing with the situation with my mum, just things like that. So every day is different, and you just try and take every day as it comes and try and be in the moment.
So, are you doing teachings in the book? Like, what is it? Or is it literally just a story of your life?
It's more just a documentation of what I've done in a fictional way. I don't know, have you seen the film The Best Man?
No, I'm not really a film guy.
Okay, well, in that film, he kind of does that. That's how I kind of thought of the idea. But he kind of gets himself into trouble by doing it with his peers, because he airs a lot of dirty laundry, where I'm not kind of doing it in that way. Mine's just more just like, I've done all of these different things, like different steps that I've taken, and it's just like, I just feel like it'd be an interesting documentation and an interesting read, just in general. So that was the reason why.
So if someone who doesn't know you,
Yeah.
what part would you extract from the book to sell the book? Now, you could tell us one little story from the book.
One little story.
A nice selling point of the book.
In the first chapter, I kind of talk about when my partner at the time, my daughter's mum, she went to Ayia Napa, and while she was there, I was thinking, like, you know, all the different guys, the music, all the celebs, this, that, and the other, and I was thinking, nah, man, I could do that. And I just thought, do you know what? I did a little move, coming to some money, and then I thought, yeah. Once the money kind of coming to an end, I thought, what can I use with this money that I can make money from in the future? And I bought decks.
Okay.
And it kind of worked out.
What year was that? I don't remember. What age?
That was 2003, around that time.
Yeah. So yeah, it's interesting. So when's the goal for it to be finished, and once it's finished, what you're gonna do? Try publish it? Like, what's the plan with the publishing side of things?
So in regards to the plan, or when I'm gonna finish it, it's hard because I'm only motivated to write when I'm in a low mood.
Okay.
So that enables me to be more in tune with those feelings, those emotions I was feeling around those periods of time. So that's why it's hard, because generally I'm always in a more of a happier space. So it gets hard. So, and obviously I'm thinking about things with my mom and certain things, and I don't want to sometimes connect with those emotions, and it just brings down a vibe that I don't want to be in. It took me a while to get out of that space. I'd probably say Thailand helped me get out of that mood. I think I didn't realize I was, depressed and grieving and mourning my mum for a while. I just thought I was just getting on with it. Luckily, I think with the business side of stuff, I had Steven there, so he was kind of carrying a lot of the weight for a long period of time, and that caused a big strain on our relationship, because obviously he's doing a lot of the work at the time, and I don't realize, like, well, I didn't even know I was going through it myself till I actually got there, and you're on your own for, I'd say, 12 hours a day, every day. So I'm just with my thoughts and able to really connect with myself and know, okay, this is what I'm going through, this is what I'm struggling with, blah, blah, blah. So back to the book, it's just, sometimes I just don't want to be in that space. So it's just as and when, like it's always in my to-do list. It's on my to-do list every day, do some writing. But I always generally put something else at the top, and then that kind of falls back down.
Yeah, nice. I did actually have written down here to talk about Thailand. So you said you realised a lot of things while you was out there. So what sort of what was the medicine out there for you? Was it just space, time to reflect?
Yeah, I'd say, like, I suppose there's no greater reward than, taking time for yourself and working on yourself every day. So you're working on yourself every day, and the reward is you start to know yourself, triggers, you know, things that are kind of on your mind. Because really, when you're on your own, you know, when you're out doing the group sessions, the boxing, yoga, this, that, and the other, you're still releasing, but your mind isn't so engaged because you've got an activity you're doing. But then when you step away and you're on your own, then it's just time to kind of think, read, you know, just really check in with yourself. So that would be, I would say, what it was, that I was just having a lot of me time. There's no Xbox, there's no FIFA, there's none of that stuff, Call of Duty or anything like that. It's just literally you and doing what you're doing for yourself.
Okay, nice. It's an important thing to say as well, man. People that might be going through stuff. So it was out there, like I haven't been before. So is it spiritual out there?
I wouldn't say, Thailand can be what you want it to be. So it can be this party place, it can be, you know, island traveling, seeing beautiful sights. It can be what I was doing, training. It can be kind of what you want it to be. Depends what you want. It's like a Ibiza, but not so steroidy. It's not so amped up.
Yeah.
Because Ibiza is one of them places where Ibiza can be whatever you want it to be. It can be partying, it can be family, it can be this, it can be that. So that's what I would say Thailand is. And for me, when I'm there, it's just literally, you know, just checking in with myself and focusing on being better every day.
Nice, like that. Just quickly going back to the book, have you got a name? Have you got a title for the book?
I've got 2 names. I've got Borrowed Time, and I've got Crooked Straits.
Okay, nice.
So it depends what I'm going to go with, and I might even scrap that, and who knows.
Yeah, nice. Have you had to, because you know, I know you've changed the names of people, have you had to run certain stories by certain people, or let anyone know, look, listen, this is going in the book, but you're not going to be named?
No, I haven't done that. And I don't think I would do that, because then it defeats the object of changing the names in the stories. Because if they did come to me and say, well, this story happened, because a lot of those kind of stories, what we're talking about, it isn't a story where it's going to implement you and you're going to be in trouble, because we're talking about things that have happened, like, you know, 15, 20 years ago, some of the stuff. Do you know what I mean? So the people that they would have been connected to that could have caused a problem for, let's say, you know, a missus or whatever, they're not with them no more. So it wouldn't.
But then do you think anyone might, I don't know, be offended or disagree with anything you've wrote in the book?
Well, you can't please everyone, innit? So, yeah, that's my kind of truth, so to speak.
Yeah.
And it's done in a fictional way.
No, I look forward to it. It's something different, man. We don't really hear anyone from our backgrounds or cultures, whatever, coming out with stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to it. Just, keep us peeled, man. Keep us in the loop. So you've also built an app as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Okay, so I think it was just before COVID. Like, obviously everyone thinks they're good at blackjack, everyone thinks they're sick. And I was like, okay, how can we play this, like, without being together? So I thought about it, tried to find it online. No one plays the blackjack that we play. Everyone plays blackjack like 21 or whatever, not pick up 5 and king reverse, whatever. So I then put a post on Instagram. I asked, does anyone know any, you know, game developers or anything like that? Someone I used to play football with popped up. He said, yeah, he builds games, la. So met up with him. Similar sort of spot where we are now. Taught him how to play. He kind of was like, yeah, cool. So I went home, standardized, made all the rules, all of that stuff, sent it through. He starts working on the game. We get to a certain point, do the game testing, la. Everything's going smooth. Then obviously COVID hits in, so can't meet, can't go over the games, And long story short, he just kept.
Would that not? Sorry to interrupt you. Would that not have been a great time to have gone live? Because
would have been the best time for it to go live. But wasn't at that stage. It was still in a very sort of infantile period of the game. So still in games testing mode. So yeah, long story short, after a while, he just kept saying, you know, he doesn't feel he can do it. He's going to find another developer and they're going to take him through to the next steps, blah, blah, blah. But what kept happening is I think people would see the model and think, okay, this is pretty easy to do, give a price, and they would say, okay, I'm going to do it for this. Once they get into the nitty gritty of it and they start realizing like, okay, the coding and the AI and all of that needs to be done, this is more work than they've built for. So get to a certain milestone, and then once you get to a certain milestone, then they can get paid, and they just say, I can't do it no more. And that kept happening. And then long story short, after a while, he was like, well, I can't find anyone to do this, and that's it. So that was a bit of money down the drain. And it wasn't until I was in Thailand the first time. I was on the phone to someone, and they said something about Fiverr. And I was like, yeah, Fiverr, why don't I go on Fiverr and find someone? So I went on Fiverr, and I found 2 people. I messaged them, and the first person messaged me back, and she was like, I looked at all their reviews, they had loads and loads of reviews, and they only had 2 bad reviews, and that was in the very beginning when they first started their account, and they was doing something completely different. So I spoke to them at a great length, spoke to them on the phone, blah, 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 and they said, yeah, send me the rules, and I'll speak to my team, and we'll see if we can do this. They come back to me about a day later. They said, yeah, this is fine. Obviously, I was very sort of aggressive in the stance of, are you sure you can do this? You're not going to get to a certain point and then tell me, you know what, I can't do this no more. She came back to me and was like, no, I'm very confident that we can do it. And yeah, we did it. Then that was that. So that took a year from that day, probably about nearly a whole year to get from just the idea, from testing to beta to alpha testing to the full release.
And then what happens at full release? And then how does the game change for you there? As in,
It's just
what's that like?
It's just a lot of money. There's just a lot of money being spent.
Yeah.
The marketing costs, and it's like it's not something that stops. It's a daily spend. You know, so it's a spending a lot. Maybe I underestimated how much marketing the cost would be, but I've done a few courses on like how to the proper structure in regards to pitching, all of that, in regards to fundraising, all of that stuff. And there's a lot of people out there that are willing to help.
So wait, what stage is it at now? It's on the market.
Yeah,
and
it's at pre-revenue stage at the moment.
Okay.
But yeah, it's called Jacks on Twos. So if you like blackjack, just give it a try.
Yeah, nice. So how, for people that don't really know about apps in that world, how do you see a return in something like building an app?
Okay, so
Business-wise.
a lot of the return is obviously you've got in-app purchases, you know, microtransactions. You've got those. That's one way. But I kind of look at it. I kind of put that to the side as a bonus. Obviously, that's the real cream. But I kind of see it as almost like YouTube. The more subscribers you've got, the more, you know, ads people see, and the more, you know, money comes in that way.
Okay. And then is there a bigger picture to create more apps, or is it you just focusing on this one for now?
I'm just focused on this for now, but I've got a friend who's in the AI field, and she said to me, once you've kind of, you know, this is settled and that, go into the AI field. She's been doing that. She's been working in AI for 20 years. So she's deep in now.
Yeah.
So, and she was like, yeah, do that. And so, yeah. So that would probably, I spoke to a friend of mine who's in banking. So just trying to figure out how in finance can get AI to help people in that way. And she just kind of said it to me, look, if you can do anything in finance, so anyone who's watching, if you can do any AI in finance, the banks will look at it like a record label do with an artist that is hot. Or a sound that is hot. Any artist that's doing that, they're just going to sign them just in case that one blows, not really knowing if they're going to blow or not.
Yeah, it makes sense.
That's what she said. So
yeah,
that's the next step.
Yeah, wicked, man. It's exciting. All right, let's move on. I want to talk about going. I don't know how far back we're going, but you growing up in Peckham. Is that where you started life and carried on for a
Yeah,
long time?
yeah. I grew up there. I lived there. I'd say majority of my life until till till I moved to Kent. I'd say
Okay.
I was in Peckham, then I was in Croydon, and then I was in Kent.
So for obviously, there's I wouldn't say it's a stigma, but everyone, thinks of Peckham as a crazy place back in the 90s and the 90s. How would you describe living in Peckham and growing up there?
Only now, when you're not there, you can see the poverty. You can see how people all on top of each other, trying to that crab in a barrel mentality. You can see how it's just very small-minded, and it takes a different kind of person to grow up in those areas. And like that's in the book when I got stabbed and those kind of things. You just see it as um, just kind of normal, but in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of far from normal.
Of course it is.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But growing up in those areas, it definitely makes you more determined.
Resilient.
Yeah, resilient. It could definitely make you you're a driven person. You could be ruthless in certain ways when you need to be in a business sense, because you always kind of need to be able to see the goal and just kind of go for it. Um, I think you always have to use people, but just don't misuse people, because no one's an island on their own. So you always need help from people. I think people always forget that.
So when you got stabbed, is that there in your neck?
Yeah.
What happened there then?
Um, that was just back in the. It was just a beef with a guy that I don't know. He just never liked me for some reason. You know, some people see you, they don't like you or whatever.
Yeah.
I was pretty spoiled.
You're both
Yeah.
from Peckham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, I think that I used to be hot on graphing back them days.
Okay.
And then I had a massive, like, just a special pen. I was graphing with it, la la la. I said he wants the pen. I was like, no. Had a fight on the bus. Him and his boys rushed me. And then after that, it was like, there was a lot of fallout after that. And then, long story short, it was a Sunday, come home, and then bare people come to my yard, and then I must have run him down with something, and then we had a fight, bust his head with a brick, and then during the fight, I got stabbed, and that was it. But then after that, no one really messed with me after that, and that was it, because he was quite a known person, innit? So they were just like, okay, just leave him in it, and that's it. And I just carried on with the football, and then that was that.
So was it quite a bad one though? Because it's in a dangerous place.
Not really. When I got stabbed in the hand, that hurt more.
That one was you
Yeah.
fighting during that one though? So you
That was
might
the
be
same
more shocked.
incident though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the same incident.
A lot of people don't know they're being stabbed.
Yeah, I
during
didn't know
fights
either.
and stuff, innit?
Yeah, so you got the adrenaline, blah blah blah. But afterwards, that hurt a lot more.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. So yeah, what about Peckham nowadays? When you go back there, how do you feel? How do you feel the gentrification, all that? You happy with it?
It's always going to happen. It's close to Zone 1. So they're always going to try and renovate, push people out, blah, 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 because only certain people can afford to buy in that area. Like, by my mum's house, that house is probably, 700K now?
So do you think it's a good thing for the area?
I don't know.
As someone who's there, born and bred.
I don't know if gentrification is ever any good, but you can't stop it, innit? So it is what it is, really.
Yeah. No, I hear you, brother. All right, let's move on as well then to you was an English teacher at some point.
Yeah.
So tell us about that and how that happened and why it ended.
So obviously from the grime days and all of that and the music, I was always someone who was kind of thinking, what's the next move? What am I gonna do? I kind of felt like I was growing out of grime. Obviously, I had the beefs in grime as well in regards to.
We'll go over that.
Yeah, so I had that.
Yeah.
But so let's scoot past that. And I just thought, what am I going to do? So I just thought, I'm just going to study. And I just went and done an access course, did access to teaching, passed that. So the next step was uni, did the uni thing.
What uni did you go?
I went London Met,
Okay.
Calcutta House, that's by Aldgate. Yeah, so I was there, passed there, and then I was like, okay, what am I going to do after that? So one of my old school teachers, she was an English teacher, Miss Walker, she was like, look, you can come in, you can do your thing here, learn, study on the job, blah, blah, blah. So that was kind of it, and that's how I got into it. And they put me into a date room, which is direct alternative to exclusion. So you're working with kids in Peckham on top of that. So that's in Harris in Peckham. And they're just wild.
But could they relate to you though?
Yeah, they could. Obviously you understand it, but obviously at the same time they're still trying to push your buttons, they're still trying it on you and blah, 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 shut up, sir, man, and all of that stuff.
Of course.
You know how it can be. So yeah, but how I ended up coming out of that is my dad got ill and I had to basically run his business for him.
Okay.
So I spoke to my old teacher, and I said to her, look, this is the situation, blah, blah, blah. She was like, cool, just do what you need to do. And then during that time, while I was running his business, he had prostrate. He had the prostate cancer thing. So while he was recovering, blah, 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 and running his business, there was a youth centre across the road. I used to just go there after school, after I closed the shop, and just practice mixing. But during that time, that's when the funky house come.
Okay.
But more of the grime sound in funky house. I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
okay, this sounds a bit familiar.
Yeah.
But I could work with this. And then that's how I kind of got back into DJing, more of a hobby thing. And then during that time, I really started to get into it. I was like, well, how am I gonna get bookings? Then I was thinking about the grime beefs and all of that. So I need to change my name and all that shit. So that was that. From there, I thought, okay, I'm gonna do a rave. Did a rave in Southend that was called Absolutely Funky. That went okay. And then
Why Southend?
so my boy, he had a link. Obviously didn't have much money then. He had a link and he was like, look, I got the club, we can get the club for XYZ price. We just need to get few DJs. I think we've got Super D, we've got Cold Steps, who else did we have on that lineup? I can't remember. We had a PA of some sort. It might have been Deneo or someone, I can't remember. And then that went quite well. So I was like, okay. Obviously, I played my first, not my first set, but my first proper set. Didn't go amazingly great. I think we had Versatile as well. Yeah, we had Versatile. You did Funky Anthem. Yeah, that was it. We didn't have Deneo. And then, from there, I kind of fell out with the guy I was doing the event with because he was, he had other issues in the background that I weren't privy to in the beginning. He was stealing money, blah, blah, blah. And then we parted ways. And then that's kind of how, same kind of thing happened a few years later. But obviously that was the same thing. Steven come to me and was like, look, because I was still doing my own little raves in these little clubs and still trying to just find my way in the music again. And then he was like, well, we was in the same situation. Ain't got much peas, but I had a link to a club with my friend from school. So she had a link to Coliseum.
Okay.
He had a link to Investor. And it was like, yeah. And then, but at that point, I remember I think it was C Deep at that point, where they were booking DJs like Osolande and things like that. And then you had Nick Doe and Leon. They were doing
Oh, Viva.
Viva La House. and they were booking black coffee.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was thinking, yeah, I want to do something like that. And Steven was like, yeah, I want to do something like that. So naturally, obviously, me and him had done little moves in the Grime days from before. So it was easy, and it was felt similar
What,
to
like distribution and stuff, you mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it felt similar to the situation in Southend, but with someone that I could more trust, that was someone who was more solid. They ain't got no mental issues going on in the background. Let's call it mental issues. I'm not going to expose them for what they was doing. And yeah, so we did the first Audiowhore, and yeah.
Well, that brings me nicely there. Look, Audiowhore. Let's start with that one. You've touched upon subjects that I do want to get into, but let's just tee that one up nicely. So Audiowhore. When was the first one?
Audiowhore, the first
where?
one was in Coliseum, 29th of April, I think that's 2011.
I think that's the year I first saw you again, actually. So I remember seeing you.
It was the same weekend that Prince William got married.
Okay.
So
Why did he turn up?
whatever that year, whatever that year was, that was the year. That was the first one.
Okay. Because
Yeah,
I think
it was the exact same day.
the first time I saw you again, I was like, that Pac-Man. I was turned up, smashed, and it was 2AD.
Okay.
You was in there on decks, and obviously I didn't know you was DJing house then.
Yeah. 2AD was a big place. So yeah, so it must have been 2011.
Yeah. So you just had the 14th birthday. How does that sound crazy to you, or is it like it feels like it's been 14 long years? How's that?
It definitely doesn't feel like it's been 14 years, but I didn't think when we first started it, I didn't think we'd be doing it in 5 minutes. It was just, just like, yeah, we're gonna try and do this event, lose bare money, and yeah, that's what happened. The first one, I think the first one was just literally the wrong date. Right formula, the wrong date, and that can be a thing.
So when you said you wanted to do the same sort of formula as what Nick Doe and them guys were doing, who did you book for that first one to?
So the first one we had Trumpet Man, and we had The Cur. I got that feeling. So we pushed the whole rave around that song, because that was a massive song at the time.
Mm-hmm.
We also had Kismet and Fever. We had Nick Doe. I think we had Gavin Peters, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just had me and Steven, I think. I think that was it. I think that was the lineup.
So then the first one didn't go too well, but you knew you was onto something?
Yeah. Like the next day, the owner, I think his name's Hollisey, is that his name? Of Coliseum, he called us and just basically said, look, you've done your first rave, you've got 643 people. This isn't a failure. As much as you've not made as much money as you wanted to, don't look at this as a failure. Because obviously, we've got an investor, we've taken out a loan, this, that, and the other to try and get this over the line. And obviously, it's just a money into a pot that's gone. So that was that, really.
Then what, you went for number 2? Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember it. I remember it like it was yesterday. So I remember what was happening. I was working. I never went back to teaching after that because of the
Is this
time.
in the shop for your dad, so you saying?
Nah.
Okay.
I was doing some other little bits and bobs. I let my dad kind of get back to it at that point. But I was working, and I was doing. I think I was just doing any little sales thing, but I was sick at it. So the money was okay, and it was like minimal effort because they just kind of left me to it because I was just always selling.
Yeah.
So Stevens called me and said, look, we need to do it one more time. That's what he said. One more
Remember
time.
that call that was yesterday, innit?
He said, let's do it one more time. And I'm thinking, well, I can't afford to take another hit like that again because I'm still paying off this loan, my son at the time, he was about 3 at that time. Anyway, so he just gone and started doing stuff. He's booked a club. He's booked the club, and then he's booked a few DJs, and that was December 7th. So there was a big gap. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I am not taking this risk. So I've said to another mate of mine, Junior Tips, he's still doing his thing in a whole nother dimension now. He's still doing well. I said to him, look, you can come in on my side for this event.
Okay.
Not in on the business, just on my side.
Yeah.
So that alleviates the cost. So I think I gave him 20%. And obviously he was cool with that. We did that, and obviously that rave sold out. So from it sold out, because we had Ali Love that time.
Okay.
I think that's when Forward Motion first came out.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously that's where Steven probably got the name from. But anyway, so that sold out. Then about 3 weeks later, Bagnall had New Year's Eve in 338. So they've come to us and
Like
said,
in House
look,
and Terrace days, yeah?
yeah, they've come to us and said, look, you know what? He doesn't want to do it. He's not confident. Do you want to do that? So we've linked up with Femi and Play from Dazed on, back then they were doing Searching for You.
Okay.
And they've said, look, and we just done it together. And within those 3 weeks, we managed to get 2,500 people in there.
So what event was this?
We just called it 2012.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we called it 2012.
Yeah.
It was just any name. We just thought of on the spot.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be 2012. We just called it that, literally. And I come up with a formula of how we could get loads of tickets sold in a quick succession, like really early, and we'll make the money on the back end. And it just worked.
What, with like a tier system, like early birds and stuff? Or?
Yeah, like we did. I think I was selling, I said, let's just do 200-300 tickets for New Year's Eve with this sick lineup for a tenner, and people just bought them up because New Year's Eve for £10.
Yeah,
and then obviously once people were saying, well, that's what I'm doing, it just kept spiraling. And then it was gone. And then once we made that kind of money from it, and the club gave us a bonus, like they've never, no promoter's got a deal like that ever. The kind of deal that they was giving us.
Spend or something?
Yeah, they was giving us. Once you got to 15 grand, every 5 grand we made, they was giving us like 2 bags bonus.
Oh, wow.
So it's unheard of in like promoter history to get them kind of bonuses they was giving us. So you get to 20 grand, another 2 grand, 25 grand, another 2 grand. Like the bonus tier was insane. So that enabled me and Steven to really make money, to leverage and do stuff. And then they kept giving us that bonus scheme for so then we did Siesta. Obviously.
Where is this, sorry?
This is at 338.
338,
Yeah, but obviously it's different owners now.
Yeah.
And then obviously they sold the venue and it's where it is now.
So when they sold the venue, did they not pass you over to the new owners?
They passed us over, but they didn't pass that deal over.
And then did you manage to sustain the same good relationship with the new owners, or?
To a point. And obviously at that point, we was in a place where we had the pick of the bunch of what venues we could use and go. So we kind of, when they treated us how they treated us, we just kind of just kept it stepping. There was a lot more options for venues back then.
So with Femi and the Days Boys, how did you leave it with them after that event? Did you just give them a little cut and they went their way and you guys went your way?
No, we all had, it's a funny story. That's why we've got to rate Steven. So it was me, Versatile, Steven, Femi, Play was in Corey Johnson's office. Steven was arguing with them. Obviously me and Steven had our portion, they had their portion. Mm-hmm. And Steven was arguing with them for 4.5 hours over 2%.
What percentage was you on at that point?
I think we was on. Steven wanted them to have 33%. Steven wanted them to have 33%,
Okay.
and us to have 33 thingy each. But I think Steven wanted it to go up to 70% for us, and then to get the 30%, something like that.
Yeah. And then did he get it?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, we got it. Like, obviously, Versatile's my proper friend, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So to me, I was like, it's only 2%. And Stephen was like, well, we've come up with a structure, but this is obviously once it's really moving, innit?
Mm-hmm.
This conversation's happened. Like, okay, it's moving. So then it felt like, okay, well, we're doing most of the work, this, that, and the other. And it was just an interesting day.
And what was this 33% in? Just that one event, or?
Yeah, just that one event.
Okay, so then once that event was done, then what happened in terms of you and Femi and Versa? They were doing Searching for You. We was doing Audiowhore, and then obviously we made Siesta. Yeah. So the vision from back then to now, is it much different? The vision for Audiowhore?
The vision for Audiowhore, I feel, for me, hasn't changed. No, it's still the same, innit? I always chase the music, the quality of the music.
Which at the moment you're not too happy about.
I don't feel like the music's quality anymore. No.
And we had a big conversation off camera, but so elaborate that on a little bit more, just for people that are watching. Why don't you think the quality is there anymore, or what do you think's lacking?
Okay, to say the quality isn't there, because the production's got better, but there's no songs. So I remember I was having this conversation. I was going to play at, I can't remember what rave it was, but it was in what's that venue that used to be in O2? Matter. Yeah. It was in there, and I think I was walking with Radford and AR. I think Radford's missus at the time. Mm-hmm. And I referred to the song, I referred to the tracks as songs. And he said, why do you call your music songs? Like, they had a little giggle of it. And to me, it always showed the difference in, you see it as beats or tracks, and I see it as music, like proper songs. And I feel like that's what's missing now. It's very clear that now it's
just tracks.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what's missing. There's no women in there. Women want to go out and sing, and when they're at home, they want to sing, and they want to go to the club and hear the music that they've been singing to at home in a club atmosphere and rave and vibe. And I feel like that's what's missing in that scene now. It's very, a lot of it's drug fueled, so the music is just sounds that they can, get a buzz to. Mm-hmm. That's always been a vibe in dance music. I understand that. Mm-hmm. But I feel like the musical element, the grooves, there's no soul in it. It just sounds very empty.
So then when you look across at the Ama soulful scene, do you feel like that's a complete opposite and they have got songs, or?
They definitely do. And that's why it's flourishing as it is. The quality of the production, I don't think just the average person can think they're going to go spend half an hour and make one of them tunes. It's just not possible. Mm. And I feel you can feel that in the music. It feels it's made in a certain range where it just feels warm. And that's why I feel like...
does that resonate with the 2012 Deep House days?
To a point, I still feel like it's not as, like, if you listen to the Afro back then, I don't think it's like how it is now. It didn't have that same warmth. I think it was still, needed fine tuning. And I think back then, the 2012 times, I think it was an amalgamation of loads of different sounds. It wasn't just deep house, it wasn't just house, it just wasn't tech. It was just all that music, as well as the soulful stuff, all being played in one set, and everyone was just trying to figure it out. And I think that's what was more cool about it back then than now. So
I noticed on the last Audiowhore on the birthday in the Black Shredder, you had the Pioneer. I think you had Pioneer and Super in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
So does that mean like, what makes you dip into that scene? Is it because you need people to come to the event, or is it because you want Audiowhore to still have that identity of being in touch with the dance scene in London or surrounding areas?
Obviously, we always started with that. So in any business, you can pivot in it. If things are changing, you change with it to make sure you're aligned with what's popular and what's not. Or generally, you're just going to get left behind.
Yeah. Do you, as promoters and like other promoters, let's just say in London, do you conversate a lot with your like, I don't know, let's just keep it underground with your House of Silks, your House Passions and that? Do you stay in touch, or do you just all just do your own thing?
I feel like, unfortunately, the way things had gone after COVID, I think everyone just went their own ways.
What is it like? There
I
was
won't
a
even
break.
say everyone. We went this way and they went that way. If that's the realness of it, they kind of just went in their own kind of direction.
Sound-wise or business-wise?
I think there's a lot of politics behind the scenes, and those politics led to people being off lineups, me being off lineups, and yeah, I think everyone to a point won and lost in certain scenarios. Do you know what I mean? I don't think there's any overall winner in people not being unified. Unification always works. I think that's what I'd probably give to Fever and them lot. Is they're just unified, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, agreed. So would you say there's a lot? I mean, it's hard because you're both in different lanes. We're just going to say, when you're saying they and you went separate ways. But is there gatekeeping going on in this underground scene, would you say? Or is it just about getting in your own lane and just standing there and creating what you can?
I don't personally think, because I've heard this term loads of times, you're a gatekeeper or this, that. I don't feel like it's true. I think in this scene, how we do business, if you're doing the right stuff, we're gonna book you, because all we're looking at is what's best for the brand.
Of course.
I don't care what some DJ's doing in regards to their elevation. As far as I'm concerned, I'm doing me regardless. So what they're doing, if they come through or if they don't come through, it's never going to impact on me. So me stopping them does nothing, but me helping them just helps my brand. It's kind of similar to what Wiley used to do with MCs. He never looked at an MC and thought, I'm not bringing them in because if they come in, they're going to take my shine. What he looked at is if I bring them in and they're around me, when they blow up, I blow up again with them. And that's kind of how we see it. Obviously,
And I even
being
think
around
he
Wiley
used to,
for so long.
sorry to interrupt, also think he used to fuel him as well, because he'd get better, because he'd have to step his game up when he's around other good MCs, even, you know what I mean? Or change his style.
Yeah, because he's around new people.
Yeah.
And those new people are obviously gonna have new energy. It's kind of like what Drake does with having the writers. And that's probably why Drake's able to recreate himself so many times, because he's got new youth with the new flows, the new lingo that's writing for him. They teach him the flow, and he goes again. And he gets a new generation, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of how I see it. So
yeah,
I think people that gatekeep and stop, they're only really stunting their own growth.
Right, what's your favourite Audiowhore booking of all time that you guys have managed to make happen?
Favorite, as in like the best set, or
Just the one that you thought might not get over the line, and then once it did, you was like, yeah, this is levels.
I think it was probably the first time. I could say the Lee Foss one, that was quite big.
Yeah.
But obviously the Brixton Academy show, that was quite a big one. Steve Lawler, Dennis Ferrer, Detlef. What else did we have?
Yeah, that's a big lineup.
But yeah, I think that lineup itself
What's the most you guys about to pay a DJ? You don't have to say who. What's the biggest fee?
I think Steve Waller.
How much? I didn't even know.
I think we paid 12.
12. Fair.
Yeah.
Right, let's quickly move on. I don't want to stay too much on this, but let's move around. Let's move on to Siesta. And that it's a 13-year coming out. Or you've had the 13 year.
13's coming this year.
Wicked. When's that coming?
May 17th.
May 17th. So again, 13 years of Siesta. How does that sound when we're saying that to you?
Yeah, it's just crazy. From just a little idea. I think there was a rave called Sleep.
Okay.
That was like a day party. I think Jessica Rabbit and Ashley De Niro and all them lot. Like, I think they was doing that. And I was just thinking, wow, this is sick. And I was like, I done a broadcast and I said to people, like, what do people do in the day? And then someone said Siesta, someone said some other names. And then from now I was like, yeah, Siesta, that works. And that was it. That was how we got the name.
Yeah, sick. So what's your different lineup differences compared to audio, if there is one?
Siesta is more fluffy. So you're gonna get a hint of garage, that garagey sort of sound.
Is that now though, or has it always been like this?
It's always been, when we first started it, the only difference was that it was in the day.
Okay.
Lineups with Audiowhore were very similar, because remember it was Audiowhore presents Siesta at first.
Okay.
So, but now, where it's a night party as well, the difference is the lineups are just very more fluffy, where Audiowhore is very much more, jacking sort of underground, proper deep, more darker, more authentic feeling. Do you know what I mean? That's where Audiowhore is where you'd get obviously Lethos, Army and Edge, all them kind of those names that we used to book, and then Siesta is more like MK, that sort of. Do you get what I mean? Sonny Federer, and all of that sort of style. So that was the difference of the styles between the two. Okay,
yeah, nice. I wanted to ask a question about being at Ministry, because I've seen a few hosts or whatever. Is there advantages and disadvantages of having an event at Ministry?
When you say post, what do you mean?
Some people, how do I word it? Like saying how Ministry, let's just say I've seen someone write, Ministry, the one they do all the sales and you don't really have to put much money into it and things like that.
Everyone's got different deals in there. I can only speak on our deal. As a club, I would say in this current market that we're in now, in regards to events and stuff, not much. When you go to a club as a promoter, I'd say 95% of the people that are coming there are the people that you've brought there. And with Ministry, the percentage that they bring is a lot higher than that. So it kind of makes sense in a market where people aren't spending. It helps a lot when you're in a club that is actually carrying their own weight as well.
So how does it work though? Is it split down the middle, or for people that don't really understand that side of the game?
As I said, everyone's got different deals in it. So our deal isn't bad. If our deal wasn't bad, we probably wouldn't be there as much. But our deal's good. It makes sense financially. Is
it quite low risk for you?
There's always a risk in it, but it's a lower risk than most clubs. Put it that way.
And then have you actually got a deal with them, in terms of I don't know, a yearly deal? How do you sign it off?
No, we don't have no deal like that.
No.
We're pretty free to go to do what we do, but we do a lot of dates in there because it just kind of makes sense. But yeah.
Nice. I want to touch upon something. I don't know. I can't remember if you was kind of in this conversation or not. But when there was a whole thing about DJs leaving this underground scene to try and venture out into the other scenes. Yeah?
Yeah.
Because I couldn't remember. I know obviously Carneo Beats was associated with that. I couldn't remember if you was, because I know you was making moves in other circles, but I didn't understand it really, where the problem was?
I would just say you've got the London scene, which a lot of people are in, and then you've got like the other scene. Obviously, I would say I was probably the closest to transcending, but to doing that, because obviously Steve Lawler was my manager.
Okay.
No, the first step was I played in Ibiza. Sonny Federa was there, and he was there with his manager, and they was like, "Look, you're sick. Come and be with us." Da, 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 da. So I was flirting with Defected for a while. For about 9 months, I was working with them behind the scenes. They were getting me signed off to certain labels. So I was doing. That's when I started doing all those releases, all those labels, blah blah blah. And then at that point, Lawler was doing what he was doing, and they approached me for the Viva stuff. And to me, the style of music that I was making at the time, that was just more suited to me. So I kind of just ditched Defected and I went with Steve Lawler. And then during that move with Steve Lawler, I was with them for about 6 months. And then during that time, that management company shut down. And then I was just kind of left in the middle. Obviously, Defected they weren't trying to fuck with me again after that. And that kind of just left me just kind of, I was just kind of in limbo. The only person I would say that's probably done the crossover that you're talking about is probably Hitty has managed to kind of do it. So I don't know why people have an issue with it. End of the day, if you're doing something, you want to do it to the top level of it. And obviously, if you chase the success, the money should align with it. So that's all it is. People are just trying to get the best money, the best gigs. Like if people are playing gigs and they're getting paid, £400 or £500, that's still good money. But there's no different. If you can get those same gigs and you're getting people getting paid 10, 15, 20 racks for them same sets, what are you going to go to? You're going to go there, innit?
Of course.
So that's all it is. People are just trying to get paid.
Yeah. So do you regret not sticking with Defected?
I think when I deep it, if I probably deeped it back then, I think I'll tell you a story. I had a mate. He was at Dulwich Hamlet, and he scored 40 goals one season. Next season, he got another 43 goals. So I think he's still got the record for the most goals scored down there. Next season after that, Watford come in. They said to him, he signed, blah, blah, blah. Manager that signed him got sacked. During that same season, he did cruciate knee ligament damage. He did an ACL. But the next season, they said to him, we're going to give you a pay as you play. And he said, fuck that, and he went to Lincoln. And from he went to Lincoln, he just ended up going down and down and down and down and down and down and down.
So you said, and then he left, he went Lincoln.
Yeah, so he went Lincoln, and from there, he just ended up at Crawley. Then he was at, ended up at Carl Shorten with me. And then from that, it just faded from there. And the moral of that story is literally just do what's right for whatever it is you're doing. Don't chase the money, because all them other deals what he did when he left Watford, blah, 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 that was all for the money. It wasn't what was right for the football. And I done what was right for the music. So even though it didn't work out,
okay, see where you're going, yeah.
I did what was right for the music. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I see where you're going with that. Okay, well, interesting stories there. Let's move on to the Grime days. Do people still associate you with Grime, or do anyone talk about Grime to you? Remember you for your Grime days?
Only the people that know, innit?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I wanted it. But when people realised, okay, you was the guy in Grime and all the shit that I was getting into, it was really too late for them to stop it.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It was already too late. I was already too far gone where all the shit I'd done in grime, no one could really say anything.
Because you use every so often there's like sets that pop out on like blogs or whatever, and you always used there for a lot of them, weren't you?
Yeah, the grime days was I'd say that was just basically like the UK rap scene as it is now. That was just our outlet. It was a sick time, man. Just getting all the different radio shows, all the people that I was around. I don't think you will ever have such a raw, untouched form of music ever again.
Yeah.
Because things are too structured now. And it just, the way wages are, the way people are getting paid, it just can't happen. Before then, it was just untouched. As far as we were concerned, we were just doing music. No one knew, no one wasn't doing it for no money. We just loved it.
Yeah. You DJ'd for a lot of clashes.
Yeah,
Like
I've done a
radio
few.
clashes now. Give me some of the clashes you was a DJ for.
So I did Napa and God's Gift.
Yeah.
I did obviously
Is that
Wiley
even got
and
audio
Only
for that
One.
one?
Nah, I think Mundi has that, but Mundi's some professional poker player now. It's hard to get
swear.
hard to get hold of him now. What else? There's quite a few. Obviously, I done the Titch in Bruiser, the first one. I kind of instigated that first clash in the first place.
Oh, I swear.
Yeah.
What, when you say the first one,
so there's
the one
two,
that's
there's
not
two
on
clashes.
Lord of the Max?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that's not on Lord of the Max. So it was Christmas Day. I picked Titch up and a couple other guys. We've gone to Raw Mission, and the guys given us what were they called again? The group he was in with Bruiser, not Aftershock.
Oh.
Before that,
I can't remember.
it might have been Aftershock actually. You know.
Triple Threat and
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I can't
so
remember the group name.
the radio manager's given them the set as well. So we've come there, knocked the door, and we've discarded as well. They're kind of giving us attitude.
Who, Bruiser and Triple Threat?
Yeah, and I've kind of just set the pace like, yeah, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and then it started from there. And then the next day, that's when they had the clash.
Okay.
So they was going at it non-stop
Yeah. Sick.
that day. And then, yeah.
Did you DJ a lot for Titch?
I used to do quite a lot of sets with Titch, to be fair.
Yeah. What was that like?
He's just a different person to what you see, unfortunately. What you see on the screen. He's just a different person. It was cool, man. But I think that other persona that he would give, that bravado, when he's when he needs to be, because not saying he's not a real dude, because he was, but he was cool. And I just think if he had more, that situation that he got into, it's just crazy. Because it wasn't deep.
How far do you think he could have got? Or where, if all that stuff didn't happen?
He just signed to Polydor.
What was
So I think he just had a writing deal. He had but he had a publishing deal. So back then he had 100. That was 100 bags in 2002, 2003.
I swear.
So that's probably maybe $500,000 now.
Yeah.
For a grime artist. And yeah, I remember he pulled up. I was in West End. I think I was in Versatile. We went to some club. He pulled up in some brand new Merc. He was like, yeah, da-da-da-da-da. He was telling me. Then when we were in the clubs, bare celebrities there. They were just breading, and it was just cool.
Yeah,
and then it was only literally a couple of weeks later.
Oh, it's a shame, man.
So, yeah.
It's a shame. So what? You mentioned you used to have some grime beefs. Why would a DJ have grime beefs?
Obviously, I was just a very active person, man. Obviously, a lot of the times, record shops would call me and be like, look, we need this tune, la la la. And obviously, if you weren't someone who I was cool with and, what's the word, was giving me tunes and I was blessed with you, then obviously that music could just happen. So that's how it was. Obviously, I was already pressing up loads of tunes.
Oh yeah, do you know what? Who said this actually? Logan. I interviewed Logan not long ago.
Yeah.
And he said that you pressed. Was it you that pressed up Logan's hoe?
Nah, it wasn't me.
He said it was you.
Of course, he's gonna say it was me. Basically, what happened with that situation is I had a brand called Pandora's Box, which was loads of bootlegs.
So was that your bootleg, the Pandora's Box?
Yeah.
Release? Yeah, I've still got that on vinyl.
So I had that brand, and people. I don't even want to say their name, but basically someone tried to use that brand and put that on there. And obviously I know all the pressing plants. So what I done, the reason why he thinks it's me, is I went to the pressing plant. Well, I went to the record shop first, got the catalogue number, called all the pressing plants, and just called them and said, yeah, I need another 500 of this catalogue number.
Yeah.
So obviously, once I got the right one, they just said, okay, when do you want it for? I knew, okay. So it was Liquid in North London. They know me. I just said, yeah, I need 500. Went down there, collected the 500. Obviously, the person who pressed it had the bill. So I got those vinyls, went, shot them, that was it. So that was just, back then I was just mad ruthless with, kind of the vinyls days was almost like it was free money.
Yeah. Elaborate on that, why?
Because record shops would call me and say, I need 400, 300 of these tunes, I need 100, every 500 is free, and it was $3,500. So it was like, okay, this, that, and the other. So every 1,000 was 7 bags. So getting 1,000, I'd sometimes have 10,000 records, and that's how me and Steven used to roll. So we'd wake up Saturday mornings, and the drives would be insane. So we'd go from Southend to Luton to Bedford to up to Northampton, then to all the way round by Heathrow.
What,
then
distributing?
Just distributing tunes, and obviously they're all paying cash, so it just used to be a mad day. So, and that's kind of how it just used to be.
Did you get into the CDs with Steven as well?
Nah, by then that's when I was on the uni train, uni train.
Yeah. So what, did you say you had a pressing plant, did you say?
Nah.
So when you say the record shop would come to you,
yeah,
what do you mean?
The record shops would say, the kids are coming in asking for this tune,
I was one of those kids.
Yeah, and then obviously once they had enough of those kids asking, they would say, okay, who can get these tunes? They would call me, and I would say, I'd either shout the person, the producer, or if it wasn't someone who was in the circle, then obviously I might just press it.
So that's again why Logan. What tunes did you do that to? Is there any producer that know that you done it, so you can say them ones rather than the ones they don't know? Is that why you was falling out with them?
I was getting the blame for everyone, to be fair. Dizzy called me out one day, I heard you pressed up my tune, and I just said to him, look, if it was me that was pressing all of these tunes, I'd be rich.
So was he wrong?
So that's how I was getting out of it.
What tune was it that you thought you pressed up?
I think it was Will.
Did that not come out? Was that a white label?
It came out.
But on a white label first?
I can't remember.
How many units are we talking that these tunes used to sell back then?
So back then, like my own personal ones, I'd say Baby, Melody, they were selling like 10 to 12,000 units.
Swear down. Is that because you could tap into the garage market as well with them two though?
Yeah. They already had traction in it.
So what about the original producer of those tracks? Were they a little bit pissed at you?
Master Sets wasn't too happy, but I think he got it in there. He understood like, oh, these kids are just doing whatever.
Yeah,
it didn't really impact on him.
So
he called me. He did call me when it first happened and said, don't press up no more, blah blah blah. But at that point, I didn't care. I was ready for the people that I had around me at that time. They were on stuff. So like at that point, we was going out and was having beef every week anyway. So it was just like it didn't matter.
What in just on the roads or in Grime raves?
On the roads, in raves. Nah, there weren't really much rave. There weren't really much Grime raves back then. So just in raves on road, it was just was just beef more or less every week. So having some beef with some music dons was just whatever. But I did hear there was a conversation that they was going to try and me.
What is it?
But
Who, Master Steps?
nah. some other dons that are from East.
Yeah.
But I think they done a bit of research and they just thought, well, maybe not.
Yeah, fair enough. What cruise was you in? Wolfpack?
Yeah, I was in Wolfpack, and I used to roll with Rough Squad a lot as well.
Okay.
And then probably SLK a bit as well.
How did the SLK one come around then?
That was just Iron Upper.
Oh, was it?
They was out there all the time, and I was out there quite a bit, and it was just cool.
What years was that in Upper?
Took in between 2004, 2008.
Okay, yeah. So with Wolfpack, that was quite a controversial crew, right? Really? They wasn't like, there weren't no mugs. There was a few, I don't know, even going to the all-in-one versus Trooper, like, what, was you the DJ for that?
Nah, I was at home listening for that.
Why?
I got a phone call.
How comes there was in-house stuff like that going on?
Basically, Trooper left, went to Musketeers. They tried to bring me. I said, nah, I'm not going. And then I think All In kind of underestimated Trooper. All In lost all of his all of the clashes he lost through just underestimating his opponents. I don't think any of the clashes he lost, the people were better than him.
Who did he lose to? Trooper?
But I think and I'd say he lost to Fuming. And I'd probably say he lost to Wiley as well.
So
I don't think he
All In's
underestimated
better than
Wiley. No, I don't think he's better than Wiley.
Yeah.
Nah, Wiley's one of my favourite MC.
Of course. What made you stop doing Grime?
I just felt like, what am I gonna do? There was a crossroad where I was feeling like, what am I gonna do life-wise? Getting older, and I was just like, what am I gonna do? That's when I did the uni thing. It's not that I was getting crazy. I was only like, 22, 23 at the time when I stopped doing Grime. I just didn't really see a path.
What was the story behind Might Get Smashed Up Like Pac-Man's Whip?
So we're going Maximum show on Deja on a Monday. We pull into Deja, which is that little warehousey place. Some fucking 10-ton lorry comes around and just crashes into the whip while we're all in it.
Swear.
Starts dragging it.
Fucking
It's
hell.
just mental. And that's
get
that's
hurt?
the story. Nah.
So I remember there's a photo online as well of, I think, All In standing next to the motor. as well.
Yeah. the Renault Clio.
Yeah. Is it like mad now, like when you still talk, like, like when you see Maximum or any of these old faces, DPM, like, you talk about the Grime days and that?
Not really,
Just because you lot have carried on with the new legacies?
Yeah, I think we just catch up, chat about football or different shit.
Do you take a step back sometimes and think, fucking hell, we've done so much in music?
But that's
Been
why
there for so long.
that's why I started the book. Because of all the little stories. Like, obviously I'm only touching on certain things, and certain stuff I can't really go into.
What, now or in the book?
Now, in the book, yeah, because it's with the stories are with different people, isn't it?
So what have you just made up random MC names and stuff like that in the book?
Nah. I haven't even got to the Grime bit yet.
This is what I mean. You're saying you've only got 3 chapters left.
Yeah. So I can extend it. I'm at about 70,000 words. So for a novel, for it to be classed as a novel, it has to be, I think, 75,000 words.
Okay.
So obviously you've got books like Harry Potter and that are bare chapters, but obviously I can extend and go on. I'll probably stop when I get to uni. So I'll cover the Grime bit and all of that, and then I'll probably stop there.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's move on then. Last couple subjects. Let's talk. We touched a little bit between your relationship with you and Steven Cee. So I did wrote down how did the partnership start, but you kind of touched upon that, where it started. So did it start back in the Grime days? First chapter of your partnership.
Yeah, I'd say that was. But back then we was going and doing business, but it wasn't together. he was selling what he was selling, I was kind of selling what I was selling. It just made sense to do the journeys together because it was just easier if you're doing those long drives. Like, these are like 12-hour drives together, innit? So you cut the cost of the petrol and you all got something to sell. It just makes you all seem more powerful because you've got all these different vinyls that you're selling.
So you touched upon that after losing your mum, and then you hit a bit of depression, maybe didn't even realise, and then Steven Cee was carrying more weight. How did you manage to solve that, or did you manage to solve it in terms of balancing it back out?
It's just about understanding yourself, understanding the situation, and obviously ultimately that's what partners are for. One person can be strong, the other person can be weak. Different people have different qualities, and it's just about balancing that out and actually having that common ground and that mutual respect for each other. And then ultimately everyone's got their own qualities and it ultimately works out.
So obviously with Steven creating Forward Motion, has that taken a hit on your side of your partnership, do you think?
In what capacity?
Meaning, you notice, maybe you're not on the phone as much, or you're not discussing ideas as much as what you did before?
Maybe, but I don't necessarily feel like that's anything to do with it. Sometimes in life people gravitate, and you have seasons in it where, like, there'll be times where we sit on the phone. Even like earlier, I spoke to him for a couple of hours or whatever. So it's not. No, I don't feel like it has. Not that I've noticed personally. No.
Yeah, I mean, even maybe thinking about it as well, it might have actually suited you because you've started doing the more training stuff as well and doing your book. Maybe the space that's open, that might have helped you anyway.
Maybe, but I feel like when you're brethren with people and remember, I've known him since 2002. It's not a short period of time.
No, it's not.
So there was times back then where you're not talking all the time, and then there's times where you are. Like any business, people are gonna disagree, and you're gonna have fallouts and blah blah blah. None of the fallouts that we've ever had, no one would know, innit? And generally, what we're arguing about is both of us want success, and that isn't never forgotten. We both want to win at this. So anything that ever happens is generally for the greater good of both parties, because we both want it to do well. And I don't forget that, so it's not really an issue.
Do you realise how well you've done? Like, do you ever step back and think, geez, look what we've built, or what we've managed to sustain?
Nah, because I think being humble is the keys to success. Once you start, reveling in that, I think that's the end.
Interesting, because obviously what you two have created, let's just say in Audio and Siesta, is massive, and it's still here, it's still relevant, and there's not much else that's stayed with you in terms of brands that managed to do the same thing.
Yeah, we're just grateful and just humble and that's all I can say. Just grateful.
So we still got many more years of you two's partnership?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, he's venturing in his own directions. I'm always venturing in my directions. And obviously, we've got Audio Siesta that we're working on. And that's kind of it.
It just popped in my head. Do you feel like you was an influence on him and Kai linking up? Because obviously, you was one of the only ones to come from this way over into that abode scene.
I don't think so, because they had their relationship outside of me, and
Already?
yeah.
Okay. You was literally one of the only ones to cross over, though, to make it into that Essex Kent.
Yeah,
scene.
but obviously I was doing the other stuff, the production, all of the stuff, the networking, just around the right people. Obviously, I still speak to a lot of those guys like Detlef, Latman, LA Love. Like, I've still got those relationships.
Nice.
It's not like before, because they're on different paths. But obviously I can still message them what's going on, la la la. Do you know what I mean?
Where did that abode link come from, or booking? Was it more
I think it
outside the
was
rave, or was it directly messaged for the booking?
I actually can't remember how that happened, but I think it was someone suggested it in the comments.
Okay.
I think it was that.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so I want also one last thing to talk about. You haven't really spoken about is being a father. How what's that like? What's your situation? What if you got one son?
Yeah, I've got daughters as well.
Daughter. Close to your children?
I don't see my son, but I have my daughter all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
How is that for you, man?
Yeah, it's good. It's proper humbling. It's different from being like the relationship with my son. Obviously, I was with him I see him until he was about 7. Same kind of structure, 3 days a week. So, yeah. Obviously now he's 17. It's a bit time's passed. Did the whole court thing, blah blah blah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, all the dads out there. I know it doesn't work, but you got to give it a go, innit? So
What, court?
yeah, you got to give it a go. At least you know you tried, whatever. But with my daughter, it's Fridays to Sunday every week, unless I'm DJing. And yeah.
So
good.
with your son, is it more of a thing where doesn't want to be involved now?
The last time I saw him was when I come back from Thailand. Yeah, and that was the long story short. His friends called me, said, look, this is what he's saying, blah, blah, blah. And I just kind of left it there.
Okay. So maybe time's a healer, hopefully.
Yeah.
Them ones, yeah. Okay, well, I appreciate you touching upon all these subjects, and I'm looking forward to the book, as I'm sure the viewers are. Any last words, 2025?
That's it, man. This is a good little chat.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you. Thanks for coming through.
Yeah.
And I
cool.
bet you as cold as me right now.
Yeah,
You've got
yeah.
shorts and t-shirt on.
Yeah, I'm freezing, man.
All right, big up. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, follow Majesty. Nice one, brother.
Yeah.